Hey Geekly, Kikai Wafra here, and today, pull up a stool because we've got a big one to unpack. We are talking about the new Knives Out movie, Wake Up Dead Man, which just dropped on Netflix. But we aren't really talking about the mystery or Daniel Craig's southern accent. Nope, we need to talk about the director, Rian Johnson, and a little moment in the film where he just couldn't help himself from reigniting an old war. So, here's the deal. Wake Up Dead Man is out, and it is the third installment in the Benoit Blanc detective saga. If you know Rian Johnson, you know he loves to make these movies feel very now. They comment on current events, pop culture, all that jazz. Well, in this new one, there's a character named Cy Draven. Imagine your typical ambitious, slightly delusional business guy. At one point, Cy is talking about building his massive corporate empire, and with zero irony, he compares himself to the rebellion from Star Wars. He thinks he's the scrappy underdog fighting the power, when in reality, he's the one building the Death Star. Johnson admitted in an interview, the link is in the description, that he put this in specifically to mock people who completely misunderstand the franchise. He said, and I quote, "The ultimate joke of that moment, that everyone thinks they're the rebels, I think is very apropos today." And to be honest, let's play devil's advocate for a second. On paper, that is a solid observation, right? You've got massive corporations and billionaires acting like they're punk rock revolutionaries. It's a valid social critique. Plus, Knives Out has always been about poking fun at the oblivious wealthy elite. Glass Onion did it with tech bros. The first movie did it with old money vultures. So, Johnson using Star Wars, the biggest myth of our generation, as a tool to show how delusional these characters are? It fits. It's clever writing. It makes sense that a guy who grew up on these movies would use them as a cultural shorthand. But it's when I take a step back and look at who's telling this joke that I started to twitch. Because this isn't just any director making a Star Wars reference, it's Rian Johnson, the guy who directed The Last Jedi in 2017. You know, the movie that split the geek world in half and started a flame war that is still burning in some corners of the internet today. And this is where we get to the total BS part. When Rian Johnson puts a joke in his movie about how certain people don't understand Star Wars correctly, it stops being just a character beat and starts feeling a whole lot like a lecture from the director. It feels like he's using his Netflix blockbuster to subtweet the fans who didn't like his space movie 8 years ago. He comes off as smug. It's like he's winking at the camera saying, "See, I understand the themes and you don't." The hypocrisy here is that Johnson talks about how Knives Out needs to be instinctual and not annoying with its politics, but by dragging his own Star Wars baggage into a completely unrelated murder mystery, he's doing exactly that. He's pulling us out of the immersion. Instead of wondering who the killer is, I'm sitting there thinking about the meta commentary of a director who seemingly cannot let the past go. It feels less like a joke for the audience and more like a joke for himself to validate his own take on the galaxy far, far away. We get it, Ryan. You think the fans are wrong. Can we just solve the murder now? Anyway, the full article with his quotes is in the description. Go check it out. So, Geekly, you're the judge. Is this just a sharp, funny line that perfectly satirizes delusional rich guys? Or, as I suspect, is this Rian Johnson being a little too self-indulgent and taking a cheap shot at his critics under the guise of social commentary? Let me know what you think in the comments. Seriously? Did they actually dare? Click the link if you want to see the full rant and now want to maybe stop putting them in the higher chairs.